you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire.
And Sid Irwin.
And I'm going to pick Sid Irwin's gigantic brain. Are you in the Prometheus Society yet, or no?
The Prometheus Society, that's hilarious.
I know Mensa was considered too low IQ for you, right? So are you in Prometheus yet, or what?
Well, I mean, Prometheus is for those who enjoyed grade school, I suppose.
All right. Anyway, today I am going to be unveiling the Bruce McGuire theory of alien abductions. Now, obviously, UFOs, extraterrestrials, these have been popular subjects not only in conspiracy, but in the mainstream too. In science fiction, they've been talked about since ancient times. You have the ancient astronaut theory. You have the Sumerians, the Anunnaki, all of these theories that have kind of been propagated through pop culture for a very, very long time. Movies, TV shows, books. Aliens have been all over the place for a very long time. So I have a take that I have carefully crafted trying to account for all the variables of alien abductions. So we are going to be discussing a new alien abduction theory. What if the people that are saying they've been abducted by aliens, what if none of them are lying or most of them are not lying? What if they're not lying, but they weren't abducted by aliens? And we are going to dive into the different possibilities and everything that entails. As always, if you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you allow your device to have those notifications come through. If you like the podcast, hit that like button. Feel free to share it across social media platforms. Any questions, thoughts, theories, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings, thoughts of any kind, leave them in the comment section. And you can also check us out on Twitter, Reddit, Patreon, and Facebook. Patrons do get priority for case and topic and podcaster requests. All right. So first of all, before we get into my theory on one possibility for explaining alien abductions, what do you think of the alien abduction phenomena?
To be honest with you, I think it's an interesting aspect. I mean, for one, it would be nice to have some proof in any kind of way, fashion that, we're not alone out there in the universe, which, let's be real, I mean, if we're not too egocentric, we're probably not, more than likely, but still.
You're referring to the Drake equation there?
Yes, the Drake equation.
Well, here's the thing, though. The flat earthers would jump all over you because they're gonna assert that the Earth is flat and there is no space beyond the revolving heavenly bodies above us.
Okay.
Although I would have to add this, even in geocentrism, let's say the Earth is a geocentric globe, and
I said geo, I said egocentric.
I know.
Oh wait, what?
I'm not referring to what you said now. I'm just adding an alternate theory to the flat earthers because the flat earthers maintain, right, the Earth is either an infinite plane or it's some kind of a finite plane in an enclosed dome, and you have a whole bunch of other theories. They assert that there's no real space. It's just kind of whatever is outside the dome is nothingness that can't be traveled to, and there would be no life existing there because if this is some kind of petri dish snow globe created by a creator, or in some kind of holographic computer model, I mean, obviously there could still be other non-Earthlings. They could be interdimensional creatures. They could be time travelers from our plane, maybe. Okay, now the alternate view I'm going to offer here.
Agree with that.
I'm going to offer this. Let's say if the geocentric globe theory is true,
right, and
there is an intelligent designer or God, what have you, but he created only the Earth to have life on it. So even if it's a geocentric globe and not a flat Earth, that could still preclude the existence of aliens. So there would still be no aliens, even with space. So we have all these different scenarios. But anyway, not to interrupt you, I just wanted to make sure I addressed all the believers because not everybody believes in the heliocentric globe model with an infinite universe.
Oh, that's fine. That's actually rather intriguing to listen to.
So what's your stance on UFOs, alien abductions in general?
I mean, I feel like there are some people who have seen or experienced things that, even if it may not be the explanation that they may have claimed, there still must be something that would explain what would have happened to them or that they've seen or experienced.
I'm going to add another plug here for a MindShock podcast. If you haven't listened to Crazy People and the Paranormal, that's actually one of my favorite MindShock podcasts. Maxwell and I went over that a lot of the coincidence theorists, the cognitive dissonant masses who don't believe in alien abductions or aliens or whatever, or any kind of paranormal, they write off these so-called witnesses or victims, depending on how you want to look at it, for alien abductions, as just random crazy people. But let me ask you this, Sid, to get your take on it. If what they say really happened, would they be able to be normal after that? Wouldn't they be crazy?
It depends on how severe the experience would affect them, the trauma, how deep it is. I mean, I won't lie, they probably wouldn't be the same.
But let's say they turned into a raving lunatic. How would you expect? I mean, obviously everybody's different. Obviously, you can find examples to fit all categories. You can find people that either would repress the memory and just continue on with their life normally. You can find somebody who also maybe just doesn't get traumatized easily. Maybe
Right.
like just same way as somebody gets mugged, they go about their day. Someone else get mugged, they might have nightmares for years. They might be
Indeed.
so even a relatively small crime, not even any kind of assault or witnessing a murder, even something small like just getting your wallet stolen, that could have a severe effect on one person and basically no effect on another. So obviously people react differently. But let's say someone turns into a raving lunatic.
Right.
If they were abducted by aliens and it was a very traumatic, painful experience, what would there be an expectation for them not to turn into a raving lunatic?
I mean, if it affected them that deeply, then I mean, to be honest with you, if in my opinion anybody could become a raving lunatic if whatever that trauma is, especially if it's just something that's not expected, and especially if it's like I won't say a negative thing in general, like let's say, again, like you said, with getting robbed or whatever, just again, just not expected. Like you said, depending on the person, it could have a far deeper effect than anyone can imagine. It might just sit there for years. They might seem perfectly fine, and then one day, snap. And no one would understand potentially at the time, but that
Yeah,
might
so
just be
I
something.
just I just mentioned that because a lot of people that dismiss alien abductions, they either say all these people just want attention or they're crazy. They don't allow for the possibility for these people are actually telling the truth. Now, these are the
Yeah.
hardcore coincidence theorists. I'm not talking about more level-headed people who don't believe or disbelieve. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the people that vehemently deny with religious fervor that anything paranormal can ever exist ever under any circumstance. Those are the people
Well,
I'm referring to in that quick
uh,
aside. But
uh, for those people, I can't lie. Again, that's something. At least to me, that's just something that either they're raised to believe or just even from their own life experiences, they've come to take that. This is their truth. That is the truth, and nothing's going to change that because I guess in a sense for them, that's the way to help keep their world to make sense.
yes, very good point there. And I actually go into the psychology of that in another podcast, Mental Weakness. Are you mentally weak? If you can check that podcast out, where I think a lot of this has to do also with people, the subconscious possibly recognizing that someone is not mentally strong enough to even consider a certain truth. So they just stick with their faith-based paradigms, pretending those are scientific and true.
Pretty much.
All right, so let me get to my theory. So again, not to fall for black and white fallacies. Even if this theory is true, that doesn't mean that other things can't also be true, because this is MindShock. We go down every rabbit hole. We examine everything with logic and reason at the forefront, not faith. Okay, so with that out of the way, here is something that I thought of. What if the alien abduction phenomenon, it's just a variant of MK Ultra? So it's some kind of a program where, let's say, so because we all know about MK Ultra, obviously it was denied. The coincidence theorists didn't even want to think about it. But now with all the declassified documents, it's known that the CIA and other government agencies were involved in MK Ultra, where they experimented on innocent people in various different ways. But this is these mental and psychological operations. What if there was a project where, similar to MK Ultra, or maybe even a subset of MK Ultra, where innocent subjects, were implanted with memories of abductions that never happened? So what would the purpose of such an experiment or project be? Because, so twofold there. One, you could look at this from many, many different sides. One, maybe aliens are real, and if the government knows that, they wanted to gauge the public reaction. So they could run this experiment simply to see the aftermath, the public opinion of people that came forward with these testimonies of alien abductions. Would they be believed? And just what kind of an impact on society would it have? So also, some people believe this is some kind of predictive programming setup. Obviously, that's a whole different rabbit hole. If you haven't checked out the MINDSHOCK Predictive Programming podcast, check that out. We go pretty deep in that. But the other factors here, if aliens aren't real, and this is some kind of Project Bluebeam faked alien invasion, which certain conspiracy theorists believe is coming, so is this just part of that? Because if there's this huge campaign, this media campaign in the past few decades to just put aliens everywhere, aliens, space aliens, UFOs, if it's all part of a disinfo campaign, which would then roll out a faked alien invasion, which I believe even Bill Cooper, he might have I don't know if he was the originator of that theory, but yes, the late great Bill Cooper, conspiracy theorist extraordinaire, in Behold the Pale Horse, I believe he outlined this in Behold the Pale Horse, if not other, and on his radio show. There could be a staged alien invasion where that would usher in a one world government under the guise of a threat that's not real. So all the governments unite, and of course, the head body, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, the New World Order, they would have total control, and the world would be a very 1984 type place. What do you think about that, Sid?
That's a very interesting and, personally, my opinion, scary theory.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people are discussing it nowadays. They actually, even with the whole coronavirus situation, I didn't really want to go into that, but some people think they use that actually to get as part of like a multifaceted part of this operation, where the staged alien invasion is next. And now you have the Pentagon releasing footage of UFOs and saying that these are real UFOs, unidentified flying objects. We don't know what they are. And they're releasing these documents. I mean, as they periodically do, it seems like every couple of years, the CIA or the FBI or the U.S. or one agency of the U.S. government is releasing formerly classified UFO alien information. Now, if this is all part of a gigantic disinfo campaign and aliens aren't real, or at least the U.S. government doesn't know that they're real and they're making an imaginary threat to facilitate this conspiracy to create a one world government. So if that's all true, would an alien abduction program be a valuable asset in propelling that propaganda over the past few decades?
I mean, in regards to, let's say, the current pandemic, I mean, if you wanted to sell it, I guess in this sense, or spin it this way, that you come to find out that although you're not sure of what the virus is, you might admit that you're not actually sure what the virus is, that you're simply giving its name, but say that it's come from some unknown origin, and then link it with that and the UFOs. I mean, that would definitely probably catch certain people's attention.
Oh wow, that's mind shocking. I haven't seen anybody float that one. It's an alien plague unleashed upon us so that the alien conquerors wouldn't actually have to do any real legwork. That's actually a really good theory, Sid. That's very disturbing, but yeah, that's yeah.
I'm surprised if no one has. I figured that.
I haven't heard. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody talking about that. That's. I mean, obviously we know about the possible bioweapon if it was engineered virus, but nobody's made the connection to extraterrestrials as far as I know. That's yours. Yeah, that's yours, Sid. That's crazy. Mind shocking. Okay, so the only caveat, the only point against this theory that I can think of is supposedly alien abductions have been reported for quite some time. Aliens have been or UFOs have been reported for quite some time. Even aliens. I mean, you have Snake Brothers drawings in Native American caverns going back quite some time. Obviously, verifying the exact age, verifying exactly what they are is also unknown. They could simply be either bioengineered time travelers from our future or maybe even our past. That's we don't know what happened in the past with Atlantis and Tartaria or possibly other advanced civilizations we never even knew about. Obviously, the ancient Greeks. I always like looking at the ancient Greeks. Now, were there stories of the Minotaur, centaurs? Were they simply stories, or were they genetically engineering monsters and they had advanced technologies?
That would be intriguing, terrifying,
And of course, obviously, dating everything is a problem because, without resorting to faith, if we're using the actual scientific method and verifying the dating using fallible dating technologies like carbon dating and all those things, that there's a lot of problems with them. Are we going to pretend that there aren't just to maintain status quo and all of these previous dates that have been peddled by the establishment narrative? I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. This is MINDSHOCK, of course. The only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything for sure. But with regard to the abductions of the past, again, what if interdimensional entities also exist, or maybe there are other aliens that nobody knows about, and the U.S. government or the Illuminati, or whoever you want to accuse, they don't necessarily know about it, or they're using it as kind of a springboard to facilitate this one world government. So regardless of whether they're aliens or not, they could still be putting in place this Project Blue Beam type mass alien invasion, staged alien invasion type scenario, whether or not aliens are real or not. So it's not quite dependent on that. So I'm not saying uniquely that there's definitely no extraterrestrials. There never were. There are no interdimensional entities. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying this theory where the alien abduction phenomena could simply be an MK Ultra type program, it could exist regardless of whatever scenario is true.
I can agree with that. I can see that. Mainly, in my opinion, just because, I mean, to really forge a one world government, then one of the major things or tools to use is fear. That would undoubtedly unite people. And, like, again, alien abductions, like you said, for forcing a common enemy and all that together, it's definitely more than possible.
Yes, tried and true. So especially
It's even
inventing
stories.
inventing enemies that don't exist are quite I mean that would I don't understand why a lot of these cognitive dissonant coincidence theorists, they dismiss all these possibilities, where doesn't it make a lot more sense to invent an enemy, because then you don't have to worry about the unpredictability of an enemy. If the enemy is real and you're involved in some kind of a conspiracy with the enemy, because obviously the classic alien conspiracy is that alien grays or whoever, the US government made contact with grays in exchange for their technology. They allow them to abduct humans or whatever. That's one of the classics, one of the classic alien conspiracy theories. But especially if aliens would have been that much more advanced or whatever, you don't even have to have aliens. If you look at some of these wars that are fought, when you're dealing with a real enemy that you're involving in a conspiracy, a real entity that may or may not be smarter than you, may or may not have more advanced technology, but the unpredictability of it, it's a lot safer, smarter option to create an enemy that doesn't exist, but pretend they exist to execute a particular goal, because that's just like you're controlling those variables. So why open yourself up to wild uncertainty? So some people that speculate that, for example, the coronavirus is some kind of a plot to usher in a Big Brother 1984 type state, a military state type existence, using the fear, of course, of the virus. Now, if you're these high-ranking members involved in the conspiracy, wouldn't it be safer if the virus wasn't real, but you let everybody think it was?
It would be.
Because all those people have families too, not to mention the unpredictability. If it actually killed every single person, you'd have nobody left to rule. I mean, I don't think even the most evil of kings would they be happy if they didn't even have a single slave?
No,
They
I
would
highly doubt it.
they would have nobody to exert their power over, which is, some of these psychotic, power hungry individuals that are attracted to positions of power. And if the Illuminati theory is real, the members of the Illuminati would no doubt probably care little about human life. But what purpose would they serve to rule humanity if there is no humanity? so
Exactly.
so again, the cognitive dissonant coincidence theorists who can't even consider this possibility, it's a lot safer option to use fear to your advantage to execute a particular plot if the threat isn't even real, because then you gain everything you need to gain without that unpredictability of a real threat. So, any final thoughts here, Sid, on the alien abduction phenomena possibly being some kind of mind control experiment on the masses?
Uh, um, that I could definitely see, especially if it's just testing the theory of like you said, be able to implant false memories and seeing how well they take into a human's, well, I guess, psyche and conscious, and how well they respond to it, or don't, or how well they or don't respond to it. So honestly, again, I would think, especially for that, it would be very interesting because if they were successful in doing that, I mean, the possibilities. Because I mean, obviously, you're implanting such a crazy, eccentric, grandiose idea, which some people, right? Like, there's a good portion of people who just don't want to believe it, or they might say, okay, a possibility exists, but it just seems too far fetched, and then have a person who would honestly speak it with such conviction. I mean, if you can get someone to believe something like that, then imagine able to manipulate someone else's memories for something small, and say, "Oh yes, of course you gave this person $100, or you gave this person access to this code or some sort of secret spot or these secrets. Of course, this person knows everything. This is your best friend. Of course, you trust them. Mind you, you never met that person in your life, but you don't know that."
Okay, so here's another point though. Just so we examine every single possible scenario, because again, this is mind shocking scenarios. What if they're not false memories? What if it's more similar to MK Ultra? It's even more similar to MK Ultra. What if they actually took the person somewhere
Right.
and either use people in suits or some kind of holographic projections or whatever advanced technology. The military has roughly 50 years ahead of civilian technology, so whatever we have, the military is usually about 50 years ahead based on previous declassified files and declassified patents and everything that's currently known. So what if they actually kind of staged the abduction, so it was a real abduction and they got things that looked like aliens
Right.
to perform whatever they did to the person, maybe even really implanted the alien implants, which some people have found. And here's the other thing too, like some of those implants supposedly they don't match anything known on Earth. But here's the thing, if the government was behind the alien abductions and the alien implants and these abductions, they could have either some kind of synthetic metals that are not nobody knows about them. They're top secret. So they wouldn't, even though they came from Earth or humans or human technology, nobody would ever know because there's nothing to match it to because that those materials are classified.
Indeed. So I mean, in other words, only the government would know, and I ain't gonna lie, the irony would be funny because as much as people like to think, well, the government clearly knows about the aliens, they have all their technology or doing whatever. In the end, it wouldn't matter because let's say if this is all generated by humans and the government controls it all the same either way.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a very intriguing theory. I've spent quite some time on it. I thought now was a good time to unveil it, especially with the Pentagon releasing this UFO stuff. And it's weird though when you look at the public, the masses, the normies out there, the way they just lap it up, like it doesn't even occur to them that it could be disinfo. or the government could be behind UFOs. I'm not talking about the people that it does occur to. If you're one of those people, I'm not referring to you at this moment. I'm referring to the hardcore coincidence theorists, the cognitive dissonant masses, the sheep, the lemmings, the ones who can't think outside the box. They couldn't even consider the possibility that a government agency declassifying documents could be behind what's in the documents, what's in the footage, that this is all part of a disinfo campaign. And it just, I find that strange on how they just, I mean, I guess I used to be one of those people too. So, you know, I used to watch Ancient Aliens back in the day, and I would say, oh, the government's covering it up. Or like, oh, even the government admits this. It really didn't occur to me that they could be behind it all until that theory was pointed out by many others, and I started really researching it. And of course, you know, learning logic, reason, the scientific method, the differences between science and faith, which a lot of the most severely indoctrinated into scientism, they think scientism is science, so they just believe whatever. It's just authority worship, which is obviously the opposite of science. That's religion. So very important distinctions to be made. As always, we had to go through all of them because this is MindShock. Hope the listeners out there enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast, and leave your own thoughts and theories on this theory or other theories on what the alien abduction phenomenon could really be, what is behind it, and other theories regarding aliens or UFOs and the government and all of these things that have been hotly contested for quite some time now. If you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. If you like the podcast, hit that like button and share it across social media platforms. You can check us out on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Patreon, and patrons do get a priority for case and topic requests as well as podcaster requests. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
And Sid Irwin.
We'll catch you guys next time.